Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a big Monday. So pumped to be back here with you on a President's Day. Cody, we're coming out of the Under Armour camp in Dallas this weekend. Now, you and I weren't there, but Jason Sukamel, our guy, Jalen Brown from Orange Bloods, both up there. We had a camp thread yesterday on Orange Bloods highlighting some of the players in attendance. And I look – It's kind of hard to get away from how good Felix Ojo looked.
Yeah. I've when you watch the tape of Felix Ojo, his frame is fantastic, and you can kind of project. He's a massive projection of his body type. I just love it. And then I'm like, he has so much body weight that he can add to this frame and continue to grow. And then he goes to an event like this, and he's working on both sides, left tackle and right tackle. And you can go find the clips. You just go to like X and type in Felix Ojo, OJO, and there are clips all over, right? Yeah, right here. And
let me turn off the volume so we don't get.
No, you're good. It's a tweet
for the rap music. But dude, you just watch this here, and I just think with Ojo, I was unfamiliar with his game as far as his strength and his feet. You could tell, obviously the length of his arms, right? His arms come down to his knees. So the length is really good, right? But you can watch here on this and just see the strength from that inside arm. You can see with his hips, how he keeps him upfield. He does not allow this guy to see. This guy's trying to rip through. He says, "You're not going to convert against me. I have this strength in my right arm here that's just not going to allow it." And then you see him put his hips up through, right? That's the power clean, right, Cody?
Mm-hmm.
That's the deadlift. It's the power clean. It's the hinge. And so it's just a lot of functional strength there. That's a complete stonewalling on this rep. And it's just like, look, man, that's it.
And people are going to see that inside and see him get up into, the direction he's trying to get. But you got to realize, obviously, there's a guard there.
Let's see if we can put it on this one. Let me turn off the volume here. This is a separate one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Separate one. And even like this first little kick here, this little pivot kick. It's kind of an interesting one. It's not like a glide kick, but it's to get him in position to where he's not going to have to open his hips as far outside. Just really good. Gosh, man, this is really long arms. Just really good. He's not going to be able to see this guy trying to kind of reach inside and get anything done on him.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to do. And then it's just another stone. He's just got a lot more power than I had thought before. Look at this guy. He just stands up. He's like, damn, man. So
look at how great that frame is.
I mean, this to me, like I don't want to go and say that that I'm going back on what I'd originally said about Turntine and all of it, but
Turntine's still great.
I think Turntine is still great. I just think that Felix, and there's clip after clip after clip after clip. I think that Felix Ojo is probably as good a prospect as Turntine. Different. I think Turntine might be more ready, and I don't want to throw everything away about that we've said about him for the last year. But man, Ojo he just impressed me, and just like, and you say, well, Alex, this is stupid one-on-ones from a camp, and I'm just like, well,
that's how these guys get graded. That's how a guy like this will earn that fifth star, which is the title of the show. How he earns that fifth star is what, Alex? How did Kelvin Banks lose his fifth star, right? He went to an event and he participated, and that was a game, but this is how these guys earn these stars.
Well, that was in Orlando, remember? And they moved him over to right tackle that week. And look, in retrospect,
he was right tackle.
But in retrospect, it was bad to take away his fifth star, right? It was bad.
Like, this is where you earn it. This is where you can earn that, and that's
right.
That's the whole point. Like it may be a camp and they may be in tights, but what you just saw is, where else are you going to find that other than watching him in a game against a kid that's maybe 100 pounds lighter than him? You're seeing him against comparable, players at these camps.
Well, it's just he on his huddle really just doesn't seem as technical. It's like he's been working with a private coach or something. to where he's doing everything right, dude. He's completely erasing rush angles. It's very impressive to me. And the thing is, Cody, that maybe some people don't understand about these O-line, D-line drills who don't go to these camps or these all-star games or these settings often, is that these are much easier for the defensive line than they are for the offensive line.
Yep.
You just think about it from a perspective of just, playing like if you ever played football, that when you're playing defensive line, if you're going to want to get to the quarterback and get pressure on the quarterback and stuff, you're generally not having to just, it's generally not a one-on-one isolation, just having to get through one guy, not going to be anybody, not having anybody else around. Now, if you want to make an inside, if you want to do that inside rip move like the guy did on Felix Ojo there, Felix Ojo is generally not going to have to carry him all the way across, right? He's not going to have to carry him all the way across because there's generally going to be a guard right there to his, say like in this one, there's a guard to his right, right? Yep. This guard is going to stay stationary. He's not going to give any help should that guy try to come inside, right? Once Ojo gets into his set. I've not watched this.
This is him at right tackle.
Okay. Yes, of course it is. Right. I mean, it's just his length is so imposing, man. This guy's trying to get the speed rush with that shoulder dip, and he's like,
too long.
I'm too long for you. You can't do it. I'm going to take you past depth, and I'm going to put you on
with pads on. I mean, it looks like a hold because he's got his jersey, but with pads on, I mean, that's
no. Well, you're not going to be able to grab like that. Yeah. Like with the jersey's going to be too tight for him to grab like that.
But you're going to have pads there, and you're going to. I mean, he's going to dunk him.
Right. Well, he's going to get that left hand underneath that dipping right shoulder, and then when he does, he's just going to push it up, and like you said, just flip him over like an apple cart. It's I just don't want people to say you guys are overreacting to a camp, but that's one of the more those sets are. I didn't see him lose one. Jason probably put up 15 of those.
Yeah.
And so it's like we can't talk out of both sides of our mouth and say, well, I don't know exactly based on there's a lot that you like based on the huddle reel, and he's got the traits and he's got the length, but can he put this and this together and all this and this together? And see what we're doing now is we're trying to put pieces together as far as the puzzle. Right. And so it would be disingenuous to be able to see a performance like that at a camp and say well, I can't add any more pieces to the puzzle. I'm still going to say that I'm still totally unsure whether or not he's going to be technically any good. So he's playing very technically there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's clear he's still got much room to fill out. It's clear that he's still going to put on a ton of strength, but he looks strong as an ox to me already. One of my questions was his play strength. He dominated those dudes. And wasn't one of those dudes one of the ones that Texas is going to end up getting? Was like Zane Rowe or something like that?
Oh yeah, Zane Rowe's a 2027 kid.
Okay, so he's 2027. So
he was committed to Oklahoma. Just recently decommitted. He's going to be one of the top prospects in next year's class. Let me look and see exactly where he's at right now. He's currently top 100. He's the 6th ranked defensive end in the class next year. He's a high end prospect. Period. But I mean, the point
light work for Ojo against that guy.
I don't really think it's overreacting for us in the sense that Ojo is the 4th ranked tackle in the class. He's one spot ahead of turn time. Like, they can both be really good. They both are really good. I mean, I guess here's the thing. I've been talking about turn time more of like in a guard conversation, but what is the actual odds you could potentially get an Ojo and a turn time, you think? Like, this is literally 2 top 5 offensive tackles in the class. We also got Zayden Krempin, who competed at the event this weekend as well and looked pretty good.
Looked good. He's a nasty SOB.
I like
Ricky Incognito's back in the news. We were talking about that earlier, man. He's got a little of that incognito streak to him.
I like Krempin a lot. It's like you got these two guys over here in Ojo and Turntine who are just, high end prospects and they're known names. And Krempin is like outside the top 10, outside the top 15. And then you see him show up at an event like this and you're like watching his clips and Ojo's clips. And you're like, he's not that far off of here. Like this is a good tackle
Mm-hmm.
in Zayden Krempin. And
He doesn't have the length that Ojo does, though, and he doesn't move quite as well. He's a little bit more clunky, but strong, good, nasty, balanced. I mean, what? That's generally I go to a camp and I come out of it and I'm like, I love him. He's good. He's strong. He moves well. He's balanced and stuff. You come out of a camp and you see that kind of length. I walk out of there like I did with Cam Williams, and I know it's not Cam. It's nothing will ever be Cam, but you walk out of the camp and you think to yourself, and like I said, I was not at this camp. Jason had such good coverage though with all the videos he posted. I kind of felt like I was at it. We got to see basically every one-on-one if you're on Orange Bloods. It was like you come out of that event as an evaluator saying, okay, there's something about this guy, and with Ojo, it's his length to me is 100% verified. It's an imposing it's an imposing trait at this point that cannot be denied. It simply cannot be denied. It has to go in the pros column, and it has to go in the pros column because we have now seen technically he can use it, and technically he has the technically he can put it to use, right? And he has the functional strength already, even though he has so much weight still to put on, to be able to not only put it to use, but to be able to put it to use dominantly in a setting that he's designed to lose in. It's just, I mean, this is, you don't always have to make things hard, and we don't have to make this hard. I think if he continues to go to camps like that, knowing that the rivals dudes probably look at things a little bit similarly to we do. Everybody's got their own process. Everybody knows that. But I think anybody with eyes can look at that guy and say that, we're looking at, that's a 5-star, that's a 5-star offensive tackle. I truly don't know what else to say.
Well, he is currently ranked 29th in the country. He was moved up from 78 to 29. That happened on Friday, actually. So their update was from last week. They moved up to 29.
So that's going to be a 5-star.
57 spots up. Yes, he's at the end. They have the top 32 are 5 stars, but he was moved up to there before the camp happened on Sunday, which was yesterday. They moved him up to 29. I think he just further cemented himself inside of it, potentially to get another bump post this camp and be a top 20 guy.
So, yeah. Well, dude, and all the credit to Kyle Flood at the very beginning. He's all over Ojo saying, you're our top priority, you're all this. And we're like, what does it mean for turn time? Felix, Ojo, are you kidding? And then well, we've kind of followed along here and we've said, okay, well, you look at the huddle, maybe there's something here. And then you see him at the camp and you're just like, he goes to more of these camps, does more of this stuff, man. That's a freak show, man.
Mm-hmm.
JD in the chat asking, JD in the chat, you haven't seen the news about Richie Incognito? He did get canceled, but now word is coming out from his old teammate, Jonathan Martin? Was he the accuser in Bullygate like 10 years ago?
Yep.
He's saying this kind of a bunch of this stuff's a little bit fabricated. And so Incognito is just, he's gotten into a fight with Mike Florio at Pro Football Talk on X because Florio was at the center of that cancellation. And those guys are definitely going back and forth. Florio sticking to his guns. But it's been interesting to watch unfold there with old Incognito, and
that was
Florio
13 years ago.
Yeah. Kind of in some ways ended Incognito's career that he was this big locker room bully. But anyway, look, no need to talk about that, but we have more important things to talk about, like Texas beef traders. I was in Texas beef traders this weekend. It was the first weekend in a while. I don't get to go and hang out with Darren quite as much anymore, just because I used to go.
On
Um,
Fridays, right?
on Fridays when my kids were at their jujitsu, which is right over by Texas Beef Traders, and I just go in there during their jujitsu, go hang out, eat food, drink beers and stuff. But then the show got moved to at night, and so we have to do things with getting the kids to stuff, and I always have to be home by 6 because football with friends is of course on every night at 6. But Saturday I had some free time after I got everything done in the morning, so I went over there and hung out with Darren at Texas Beef Traders. Man, just an old school day. I'll tell you about the experience. So you just go in there. Darren's like, "What do you want to drink?" I'm like, "What do you got?" He's like, "I got this new cider drink from this place in Texas. I got this, I've got these beers, whatever, So we drank some ciders and some beers. He gets back in the kitchen. We start cooking up a bunch of just a bunch of steaks, you know, getting out like olives and charcuterie boards and stuff like that, having it out so when customers come in, they can come over and try this stuff. It was just, it's such an amazing experience going in there. And it reminds you, as you see all these people coming in, Texas Beef Traders is growing and growing and growing. And I know a lot of it has to do with this show. And he's so thankful to you guys and thankful to Cody and I and Orange Buzz for partnering with them. But it's like once you go in and you experience the place, just once you taste the meat, I just don't know what to tell you guys. It's right there in Lakeway, right off of Loman's Crossing. You don't have to go in though. You can call up there. You can go to TexasBeefTraders.com, get your 10% off because you heard about it here on Football with Friends. You can do that every single time you go in. It's not like a one-time deal, right? He'll drive the meat to your house. It's better than the farmer's market. It's just as cheap as HEB, cheaper at sometimes, especially if you go with some of the awesome cuts that he has. And when you go in there, you might see a bunch of former Longhorns. You probably see Kenny Vaccaro in there or Passan Ridgeway. I've seen them. You can't throw a rock out here where I live without hitting some former Texas Longhorns player. You can ask Derek Johnson, whose team beat my son's team last week in the Super Bowl.
He lost.
Yep, lost to DJ's team, man. DJ's got DJ's kid. It's Derek Johnson's kid and Jamal Charles's kid,
which is like that's fake. That's not allowed. That's
they aren't on the same team this year, but somebody
somebody needs to get on the board and say only one NFL legacy allowed per team.
Yeah. And dude, DJ's kid is a group of because it's my son's in the first grade flag, and he plays every single he plays like 5 seasons a year of this flag stuff, right? So you get to know the other kids. The DJ's kid has been playing up one grade ever since he was the year before kindergarten. So like he's a kindergartner playing against these first graders, just ripping all these flags. He plays defensive end, like edge, kind of like his dad did. I'm sure he loves it. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. Okay.
So that'd be a class of 2037. You'll be looking for Derek Johnson's kid in the edge group there. Early number one ranked edge rusher.
Yeah. Esron asks if he won't deliver to your house in the DFW area, but if you do want to get it, if you want to get some beef jerky, you can certainly get that. Let me put it up actually on the side here. That'll be a better place to put it. Leave it up there for you guys. And 4 new beef jerkies, all available, and those ship anywhere in the lower 48. I was just eating some earlier. The hot honey, my favorite. Cody, I'll be bringing all 4 flavors to the combine, so you can try the 2 new ones.
A week from today, I can't wait.
The combine is next week. Or did you want to talk about that? Anything else we want to talk? Like we got a bunch of topics. You want to just blast something up here?
I got one that I'm going to ask you a lot about it next week, but I'll ask it to you right now about Jalen Milroe, who's going to be at the combine, and everybody knows he's going to blaze, right? The quarterback from Alabama. He's expected to run 4.4, 4.39, whatever it's going to be. I was like, I did a little digging on him yesterday as I'm watching quarterbacks and stuff. And I'm like, why? Like, I remember vividly 3 years ago when the Kenny Pickett stuff came out and he didn't measure at the Senior Bowl and then he measured at the combine. Milroe measured at the Senior Bowl and got the lengths, right? And it's literally the same hand size, or a little bit bigger than Kenny Pickett. Pickett was 8.5. Milrose 8 6/8, so just a touch,
8 3/4.
just a
Right.
touch bigger, right? Just a touch bigger. 2/8, a quarter inch
Yeah.
bigger. That's it. JJ McCarthy had 9 inch hands last year. Malik Willis 9.5. Lamar Jackson 9.5 for like similar conversation here. Also, you remember, like, again, Kenny Pickett got hammered, right? Hammered. I asked him a question at the combine. JJ McCarthy last year, what was one of the big topics? Well, the guy only threw the ball 332 times. He didn't throw the football enough. They ran the ball so much.
Yeah.
What Milroe had 13 fewer pass attempts. He didn't win a national championship. He didn't win a Heisman. And they want to say, I've read like Daniel Jeremiah put out, he's like, man, Milroe's got this one trait. And like, I don't think he should be a first round pick, or I'm not saying he's a first round pick, but he's got this one special trait. And I know he's an elite rusher, Alex. I get it. But that one elite trait is not elite. It's a very good trait. It's a great trait. He had 1,500 yards in 38 games, 1,577 to be exact. Lamar Jackson had the elite rushing trait. In that season, he won the Heisman. He had 1,601 rushing yards in one season, which is more than Milrose had in his entire career. You can't tell me that's an elite trait if he didn't have in his career what Lamar had in one season. And I got some people saying, well, sacks count. Yes, I get sacks count. They count for everybody. He also had 11 picks this year, which is the same amount that J.J. McCarthy had in his entire career, which is the same amount that Malik Willis had in his final season. My question to you and my question as an NFL draft evaluator is, why is Milroe even in the conversation to be a first-round pick right now?
I would never take Milroe in the first round.
I've listened to multiple people that
I don't want to. I don't want Milroe. Like I mean, look, I could end up being really wrong about that, and maybe that's the reason why. It's like you could end up being really wrong. But I felt like sometimes when I watched Alabama this year, I'm like, man, why don't they try something new? And like he was bad. He's really bad at the Senior Bowl, like you said, small hands. I think the reason why people might be sort of
hesitant.
Like, well, your question was, why is he not getting buried right now? And I think it's really hard to be the one that's out there just burying the dude. Whenever you probably have to deal with the Alabama hordes, even though the Alabama hordes are probably a little bit glad he's gone and they're going to be trying something new. Jalen Milroe was the ultimate golden handcuffs quarterback, right? Mm-hmm. He's the guy that you would say, well, what are, okay. It's like this. I think Southwest Airlines stinks.
Why do you fly it?
Well, because it's the golden handcuffs. For the longest time, I had a Southwest Airlines Visa card, right? And I have all these miles. I have all of them, right? I have all these miles. And when I would get those miles, I would also, like, you get double the miles for your flight system. Like I fly places probably six, 7 times a year. And so, they add up. I still have them. It's I don't love it. I think they stink nowadays. I think that whoever's running it now is going completely divergent from whatever the founder of the company did, the company that my dad invested in and loved so very much. It's not the same. And there's not one time goes by where there's not some kind of cockamamie issue that Southwest Airlines has with my flight. Knock on wood. I hope it doesn't happen going to Indy. But but it's like, what am I going to do? Do I want to pay for it? I want to go pay for, like, I think Delta these days is best. Do I really want to go pay for Delta? I got to deal with this and this and this. And I have these already. And it's like, it's a free flight. And it's like, with Milroe, it's like, do I really want to go down the path of something else? It's like, I think that probably this is best for me. It's like Derek Carr whenever he was with the Raiders. He's a guy that's going to keep you, or probably Derek Carr now with the Saints. He's going to keep you in constant purgatory. And at the college level. Now, at the NFL level, I think it could be worse. I think it could be something where he keeps you in constant, just like, what's going on here, like an Anthony Richardson or something like that for the start of his career. And I think the reason why he's not getting buried right now is because I think we're about to get to the point in the Jalen Milroe process where all of a sudden it's magically forgotten how bad he was at the Senior Bowl and some of the struggles that he had with all the rest of it and the small hands and
Thank
like
you.
we're gonna get to the combine. You're gonna see him at the podium. He's gonna look like an Adonis.
We're gonna run 4.38.
He's gonna run. He's 6'2". He's gonna weigh in at 223 pounds, and he's gonna run a 4.38, and he's gonna jump through the roof, and all will be forgotten. And you say all it's gonna take is one team that crave the athleticism. And if you and here's the worst part, you're going to be the one that gets buried if you say that he at worst case scenario you can draft him, and if it doesn't work out at quarterback, you can move him to running back. Then you get oh no, you can't say that. That's what they said about that's what Bill Polian said about Lamar Jackson, and look like you know what I mean. You're not even going to be able to say that, even though it's a perfectly reasonable thing to say. And one of the only ways that I would think about drafting him, maybe late first round, is to say, maybe I could have one heck of a running back here if the whole quarterback thing doesn't work out. And while he's sitting behind my starting quarterback, because Lord knows I'm not going to draft this dude to be a starter. I can line him up in the backfield and hand him off the football, and maybe. Dude, would you be surprised to see like Jalen Milroe go for like 5.1 yards per carry on some kind of limited run as a running back at all?
What you just said about him, how he performs at the combine, is like literally I'm getting flashbacks of walking out of Lucas Oil a couple years ago, and you're like, Anthony Richardson, like, how was that not the first pick overall? And it's like ingrained in here of like, what did we see?
He had the best combine performance of all time.
Malik Willis had a better Senior Bowl than what Jalen Milroe did.
Yeah.
Well, in the rain. In the rain, Malik Willis had a better Senior Bowl. People are just forgetting about it, just saying, oh, he's I'll take him. I think he's a back end guy. I'm like, listen, I think he's better than Willis. I get that. I think he's maybe even a touch more prepared than Richardson. I think they both should have went back to school regardless in their direct years. But I don't get the first round thing because I don't get the elite trait. I don't see the it. I like Jalen Hurts was a second round pick, and I don't think he's as good of a prospect as Jalen Hurts. People hated Jalen Hurts, but you were at that Senior Bowl, and he gained ground that week.
Oh, I mean, more than Milroe? Are you kidding me?
Here's the thing with Nagy said, the director of the Senior Bowl, obviously, he even said in that press conference before the Senior Bowl this year, he said, when you go back to when Jalen Hurts came through, people were talking about him as a fourth round quarterback before he came to the Senior Bowl, and he grew and obviously ended up being like the 42nd overall pick. He said, Milroe's already looked at as a second round guy. And to me, that would tell me if he was looked at as a second round guy coming into the event, he'd be lucky if he held steady from what his performance was. So that's why I phrased it the way I did. Why is he not getting buried? Because
people are scared to bury him right before I mean, if they're smart enough to realize it, we're coming up on a week wherever Jalen Milroe is going to get talked. He's going to get bandied about as a first round lock once again because of the way that he tests, and he's going to ride that crest to Alabama Pro Day inside that nice indoor facility that they have, where they're going to have it completely mapped out for which routes which receivers he throws to, which routes he throws best, all the rest of this stuff. And he's going to go out there, he's going to throw darts, and people are going to say like he lit that pro day on fire. And we're just like, we're going to get back to it. And it's a bad time to be burying Jalen Milroe right now before the complete media hype goes off the rails. I'm going to stand firm. I'm just going to say, look, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Is he the third quarterback off the board?
No. I think by now it's kind of Jackson Dart. It feels like it's Jackson Dart to lose, even though I don't know if I necessarily agree. Maybe I do. I kind of do. I'm not done with my quarterback evals, and I care much more about my running back and my wide receiver evals anyway, right? But
you've been to the Ole Miss Pro Day before, haven't you?
Ole Miss.
Yeah, you went when they had Nkemdiche and
Nkemdiche and Who was?
Marcus
Oh,
Lodge,
was that Laramie Tunsil?
Tunsil. Yeah, that was that sick
Yeah.
recruiting class. Yeah,
Yep.
Nkamdichi and Tunsil was. Yeah.
Yeah. Lodge, and I forget who there were other wide receivers there too. But we've also been we were also there for
Did you go for
AJ Brown
Yeah,
and DK Metcalf. Um, yeah.
totally sick.
Ole Miss is a cool campus. I would love to go to a game there.
Oh, I mean, they always do when they do the game day there once a year, once every other year. They
Yeah.
show the pregame of the what do they call it? Oh, the Grove. Is it the Grove?
I think it might be the Grove.
Oh, that looks so sick. That looks so fun.
It's really like it's a cool spot, man. It's one like I
Nothing better
really
than walking around the Grove with a hottie toddy in your hand, just getting hammered on a Saturday.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know about Milrow. How about this? How about this? All right. So um Stuart Mandel in the Athletic today, he said that the SEC and the Big Ten are about to light college football aflame.
Yeah.
Is he being over dramatic? And what did you think about um, the Ross Dellinger report from over the weekend about the SEC and the Big Ten having these meetings, acting like these kind of kingpins and oligarchs of college football about what's going to be happening there, and the word coming out that it's looking like not in 2025, but in the 22, so not this year, but after the next year, it's looking like it's just a foregone conclusion that they're moving the college football playoff to either 14 or 16 teams. The Big Ten gets 4 automatic bids. SEC gets 4 automatic bids. I believe Big Ten and ACC get 2. And then there's I think there's guaranteed for one group of 5 and then some at large. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work.
Did you listen to the other pod from Feldman?
No.
Okay.
But people are complaining about this and saying that they're gonna set college football aflame, and I'm complete.
I mean, it doesn't matter what people want. It's over. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like, what do you mean set aflame? What do you mean set aflame? Like, if you think that this sets it aflame, what you're trying to do is you're trying to put lighter fluid on something that already's been burned down into ash and rubble anyway, right? Like, it isn't like this move really would change anything. I tend to think I was listening to the clip from Josh Pate where this guy is like, he hates the college football playoff. And he thinks all the conferences should go back to the old conferences. And he thinks it's more important to beat your rival in a year. That, like, he's kind of a super old school with the way that he thinks about stuff. The importance should be every weekend on Saturday during the fall, and should be winning your conference and all this stuff. And he's like, I hated expansion, but he's like, this deal, moving to 14 or 16. And this is without me even talking about why the SEC and the Big Ten absolutely deserve 4 each, right? I could talk about that for hours. But what he was saying, and Josh Pate, it feels like, was waiting for somebody else to break this story before he could talk about the stuff that he had been hearing about the story. And so he added on to the Dellinger report about all this from what's happening in these meetings in New Orleans between the Big Ten and the SEC, where there could, where Mandel's saying they're conspiring or whatever to, the haves versus the have-nots. And what Pate was saying, I thought was incredible. He's like, this would actually bring back some, in essence, of what it was like before, with the importance on winning your league, right? Winning your conference. Now it would do away with conference championship games, but in order to keep you happy as a fan, and in order to keep the TV broadcasters and the teams happy as far as money and stuff like that, just listen to this scenario. I thought it sounded genius. Okay. So you get you name a champion at the end of the season, the SEC champion. Let's say Texas, whatever. It's like Texas finishes first in the league. They get the SEC champion. They automatically get one of the bids. The number 2 team automatically gets one of the bids, right? The 2 teams that will go to the SEC championship, right? 2 of your 4 automatic bids play then, right? You go by through that same ranking system, but say Texas was ahead of Georgia, they get called as SEC championship. As a reward, they don't have to play in an SEC championship game. They get slotted by the college football playoff committee in whichever way that they do as the SEC champion, right? And then what you would get is you would have your teams 2, 3, 4, 5, and so the number 3 team would play the number 6 team, and the number 4 team would play the number 5 team at their various home fields. So you play the home field of 3, home field of 4. You would get 2 games that weekend, and that's the Hunger Games, dude. That's the Squid Game. That's fighting it out to get into the dance. I think it's incredibly awesome. Like you get double the games. You get to reward the champions. Now this would only be for the Big Ten and for the. I don't know how they could do it with 2 automatic bids for the Big 12 if the Big 12 would still have to play a conference championship game. But in the spot where you get at least 3 bids, you can have at least 1 play-in game. If you have an automatic 4 bids, you get 2 play-in games. You make double the broadcasting money. And like as a fan of college football, I've said to myself that to me sounds like incredible fun and pageantry. I'd be interested to hear what you think.
I think the idea is valid. The problem is you're adding games and continuing to add games and continuing to add games. And we've almost reached a limit to what you can actually bring. Like we've seen the wear and tear that it's put on these collegiate prospects to start in August. You know, what was camp? What was camp's first day? August 1st?
August 3rd.
August 3rd. And you had guys that were working all the way until the 24th, and they're like the college football playoff championship is the 27th next year, the year after. And that's, you know, a long time to continue to play and then be expected to go through the draft process if you're a prospect, or be expected to take like 3 weeks off and then get into winter condition, or actually not even take 3 weeks off, just get right into winter conditioning. Like, I think it's all numbers. If you're going to do something like the Hunger Games type style thing where the conferences playing each other to get to the end goal, I think you have to, you know, play your 9 conference games. You get 1 non-conference game. So you have
right because I should have baked into this would be the fact that the SEC would go to 9 conference games.
Well, I think that was broken. I think somebody broke that last week.
But putting it all together, doesn't it make sense? Because you go to 9 conference games and you just go by the SEC record, to where if it's just the SEC record that's going to get you in by winning the conference, it's like then Sark doesn't have to worry about playing these awesome games at the beginning of the season versus Michigan and Ohio State and all the rest of it, right?
Correct.
It gives you the ability to be able to schedule those games. And yes, it's clear that they're colluding, that they're saying we're going to do it with the Big Ten and SEC teams. It's clear that it's definitely, you know, they're definitely in charge. Are they setting college football aflame? No, but they're best.
No, they're setting it aflame, but it's not setting it aflame. It's taking it over. It's Sankey and what's his name in the Big Ten controlling the narrative, and they've got this thing, you know, kind of how like PFF has like the sport of the NFL in advanced data and analytics and stuff. They have the league by the balls. The SEC and the Big Ten have college football by the balls in controlling the narrative that they want to. It's not an NCAA championship. It's a college football championship. If they want to do away with the committee, they can do away with the committee. If they want to take their league, their conferences,
take their ball and go home,
they'll do it. Like they'll
get better ratings.
You listen to the podcast the other day with Feldman and Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer's like, I've coached at the MAC. I've coached the Mountain West. I've coached the Big Ten. I've coached the SEC. He goes, you need cooperation, and you're not going to get cooperation, period. You just won't. You have two guys and two leagues that dominate the sport, whether anybody likes to hear it, wants to believe it, wants to know it, doesn't matter. They are dominating the sport from a numbers perspective for players getting to the league, from a, making the playoff, winning championships, everything. They're dominating. Recruit doesn't matter. That everything that I've heard from the Dellinger report to the Mandel report to Feldman talking to all these people that are knowledgeable in the space. You listen to like a couple of lawyers they were on a couple pods the last couple of weeks talking about things in like the NIL space. And I think what the end of this whole thing is, and we can talk about this for 7 shows consecutively or 7 hours consecutively, Alex. My end thought is this is only going to, obviously it's still very much a gray area for everything from NIL to the playoff to the games you play in a season, to the SEC, to the Super League. I think we're going to have some clarity over the course of the next three months on both fronts. And some things are going to happen that are going to help continue to push it to a certain direction. But I fully believe that by the end of 2026, by 2027, there's true clarity into a Super League with a 20-team SEC, a 20-team Big Ten, and it's a 40-team league with these 2 conferences. And they're controlling the college football championship. And you're going to have everybody else fighting to get up into that league. And NIL is going to be much more tighter, much more contractual. There's going to be a CBA. It's going to be the NFL. And here's the thing is, what have these other leagues been trying to do against the NFL? Like the CFL, the XFL, the UFL, all this crap, right? They've been
losing.
But they've been trying to duplicate the sport, right? What the SEC and the Big Ten don't have to do is duplicate what they're already doing. All they have to do is branch off and create they can create the NFL side of college football. And I think that the rest of the field, when it can be looked at like FBS and FCS, even though it's still Division I, everybody like you're the MAC and the Mountain West and the ACC and the Big 12 and stuff, they can still have a championship. And that can still be a very quality sport because nothing's changing. It's still having a title of, you may have the Super League and you may have the AAA, whatever you want to call it, right? And it'll have the ACC champion. You may have a Miami if they can't get up into the big league. You may have a Miami and a Clemson and SMU and Utah and Oklahoma State and Colorado.
Those all these games you absolutely are going to want to watch. Really watch those games. Yeah.
And you will want to watch, just like people want to watch the action on Tuesday and Wednesday, right? You will have a crowd for it. And it's the same sport, it's the same thing, but it's going to be
I'd cut off a pinky to be able to watch some action right now. Gosh.
Yeah. But I think that's the direction we're going to go. I think we're going to have real clarity over the course of the next couple of months on the NIL front and on this college football playoff front. But I think the end game is going to end up being a CBA with a Super League, point blank, period. And you're going to have these guys playing in like a 9-game regular season with the 10th game being a non-con, whether you're playing against a UMass or somebody from that lower league, and that's going to be it. And it's going to be kind of styled a little bit like the European soccer where, teams like, Colorado, Oklahoma State, Utah can win their conferences or championships. They can hit qualifiers from a income stance to pay prospects to the same level as the Big Ten and SEC schools and get in there. And I think you'll have teams from the big league that can fall out. It's the whole thing's wild, but I think that's where I believe it's going to end up going.
It's going to be fun. You're probably going to need some booze, man. If you do, make sure and go with Specs.
With hundreds of wines on sale, Specs is turning these aisles into the ultimate love story.
Uncork something special during Specs' huge wine sale, going on now. Specs, the fun starts.
Yes, Football with Friends is indeed fun as hell. Thanks again so much for being here. Alex Dunlap, Cody Carpentier. We're here every weeknight, 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time. I was just thinking, Cody, I was forgetting. Indy's Eastern, isn't it? It is.
I think so.
It's wild to me that it's farther east than Mobile, Alabama, but it is. So maybe during the combine, we might move the show up to 5 Central, so we're not having to do this till 8 at night. You know what I mean?
Hey, do you know Well, I mean, I do it 7 at night every single night, but I'll move it up if you want to move it up. Do you know who Toby Mac is?
Toby Mac?
He's like a Christian rapper, like a Christian like
No,
church rapper.
I don't listen to Christian rap.
It's like but you go to church though. I was just wondering because him and Lil Wayne are going to be performing. Lil Wayne's going to be performing on Thursday at the Combine, and Toby Mac's going to be performing at Friday. Not at the Combine; they're going to be at the basketball arena.
No. Well, I love Lil Wayne. I'm sure I would. I mean,
if you want to go see Lil Wayne, I'll go see Lil Wayne with you.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think. I mean, I think it would be better to. I think it would be better for my soul to go watch the Christian rapper, right?
He's pretty. I mean, I turned him on last night. I didn't know who he was, but I turned him on last night. It's not bad.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
He's like 60 years old and he raps.
See if we can get. Oh, he's kind of old. Dude. He's got to fill you up with the Holy Spirit to be able to rap about it and still be 60. And golly,
it's pretty good.
All right. Let's see. What else do we need to talk about here today? For some reason,
about Booby. You want to talk about Booby?
Yeah, let's talk about it. All right. So what is the topic again?
Oops, wrong one. There it is.
Maniacal Monday. Jason's saying to tap the brakes on Booby Feaster. Did Texas blow its high school wide receiver budget in 2025? Why is Jason saying this? Well, from kind of and look, Jason's probably going to do his recruiting hour show tomorrow, or when is that? Wednesdays or Tuesdays? I forget what day it is. Or wait, he does a show with Anwar on Tuesdays, and I'll bet you that they'll talk about this. But what I think Jason thinks is that he's of the opinion that maybe Texas isn't just as fired up to go after Booby Feaster as, say, Cody and I would be if we were working in some college front office.
I don't think it's that. I don't think.
What do you think it is?
I think that everybody in their right mind knows what Booby is. You want to win, put Booby in, right? That's the whole thing. I think when you put Booby in the prospect sphere of NIL, he's not in the Jamie French, the Khalil Lockett tier. He's in the Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Williams, maybe even higher than like DeCorian Moore. He's in that conversation as far as NIL goes. And it probably doesn't help Texas that he reclassified because you just spent all this money on a receiver in this past class. And now if you went and you gave, hypothetically, I don't know. Let's say you gave French $1 million, Lockett $1 million, right? And then the next class, Booby comes along and you got to give Booby $2.5 million.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that could, yeah. And that dude, that has,
you don't have it, but it's that you're really, back-to-back years, you're really making it, you're making the whole situation tight.
That's a good point because it reminds me of the discussions that we had about the 2022 versus 2023 versus 2024 versus 2025 versus what we projected in 2026 as far as the spending up for the elite offensive linemen, right?
Yep.
So 2022, you spend up, you get Kelvin Banks, you get Cam Williams, you get DJ Campbell, you get NATO. I'm forgetting now even who was that Cole Hudson who was in that group too?
Hudson, Robertson, Campbell, Banks, Otto.
Yeah. And then,
NATO.
the big spins, like looking back, it's interesting. Like, I think the DJ Campbell was a bigger spend than even Cam Williams, but Kelvin Banks, obviously the big spin there. Then you get the 2023 class, no big spins, right? That's the large humans class, the Connor Strohs and the Peyton Kirklands and these guys, Kojo. It's been Trevor Gooseby that's been the true jewel of that class. But out of Melissa, Texas, I think he was a 3-star. Jaden Chapman was in that class. And then you get to 2024, obviously you get the big spend up with Brandon Baker from California. You get him in from Cali, and he's your big $1 million guy, right? Expected to be a starter this season. 2025, it looks like no full court press on Mike Fasusi, even as beleaguered and Downtrodden. What's another word for what Oklahoma is appearing to be right now? Beleaguered, downtrodden.
Deceased.
So, yeah. Just even with how downhill they've Oklahoma is a kind of easy team to recruit against right now. You can say like, "Oh, you're gonna go there." What's their offensive line coach? What is it? Bedenbaugh?
Yeah, Bedenbaugh.
Bedenbaugh.
However the hell you say it, I don't know.
If Venables gets fired, that guy, I mean, I guess the new coach would be smart to keep him around. But are you sure you're going to get him? You're going to go to this team. How many games did they win last year? Do you want to come win? Have you seen what Kyle Flood's doing, putting guys in the league? Like, there was no full court press, right? At that point, we said, well, that's probably because it's John Turntine, no matter what, because it was a deal where it was 2022, kind of no spend up in 2023, spend up in 2024, no spend up in 2025, spend up in 2026. Now it's turned out that the spend up could be Ojo. Maybe it's Ojo and Turntine. Ojo, Turntine, and Crimpin. Gosh,
I would love that. I would absolutely love that. And then just let them come in, and you just go, "Hey guys, you are each going to play left tackle today. Tomorrow, you're each going to play right tackle, and then we're going to plug each in at guard, and we're going to just see where you guys fit perfect." And you're going to have hopefully you don't have to plug these guys in as true freshmen. You just get to let them marinate.
We're gonna have you guys at the combine in 3 years, just like we have Jake, Hayden, Cam, and Kelvin this year. It's gonna be you 3 or 4 years from now. Just come in. Let's get to that's what they need to do. But getting back to Booby Feaster, I think that
he's too big.
It's like, man, it's like the whole cooks in the kitchen thing. You gotta give Jamie French and Khalil Lockett and Dalen McCutcheon and Michael Terry and Ryan Wingo and these guys. These are awesome young players, man. They're expecting to see great stuff out of Livingstone and Butler. Like, you got to give these guys room to grow, and it feels like bringing in a player like that might be. It's like in gardening. I don't do much gardening, but I like native plants and stuff like that.
You have a garden?
I have lots of gardens, right? But I don't take care of, I wouldn't consider myself a gardener because I design them. I put the native plants in, and then they just grow and look great, right? But
I suppose you're a farmer on taxes, right? Because you got
what?
Technically, you're a farmer.
No, well, no. There are a couple of tax exemptions I get because of certain things we do on the property. But my raised vegetable gardens, right? It's like, let's say I have. Well, let's just say I got 5 heirloom tomatoes, right? That I really love, and that I paid a lot of money for them. I bought them from this awesome ranch in Alabama. It's all, they got the best ones. And I got like my Cherokee purple and my huge, like the mega, yellow pineapple one. And I got the black creme, and then I got the chocolate cherries, and then I got the Berkeley tie-dye, right? And these are all like the most elite heirloom tomatoes. If I go in there and I want to add in, what I have to add in is like companion plants, right? I have to put in peppers that kind of come below it, and I have to put in basil that is really good as a companion plant for tomatoes, because sometimes the little bugs, they'll eat the little basil instead of getting up on the tomatoes and stuff. Like, it's companion planting. You can't go in there and put like an artichoke in with like a big artichoke. It's gonna drown them all out. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so, like, you got to figure out how this stuff as you're kind of planting this garden, that you got to put the companion plants in. And it's felt like to me 2023, 2025 in OL recruiting was companion plants. It was basils and little jalapeno peppers. It feels like maybe in 2026 that could be what it is, with like not 3 guys you're going to have to go $1 million for. Because Feaster, it's like That guy didn't reclassify to 2026. Like, not. He's getting advice that in some ways has to be financial. And if he knows where the market is, and they know how this thing's about to go, and all the rest of it, right? It's like strike while the iron's hot. We got to get you in this class because there's regulation and stuff coming. There's revenue sharing coming. Right now, it's Wild West. We want $2 million. That upsets the apple cart. So I'm a little bit worried about Texas getting Booby Feaster, but I'm not worried about the talent that they do have on campus. Anything else on that, Cody?
No, I think that's well said. I mean, you do got to realize the 6 class that just got on campus. French, Lockett, McCutcheon, Michael Terry's there. We love Booby Feaster, but maybe it's just not in the cards.
Now, you can email us, fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find us on X at Alex Dunlap NFL, at Cody Carpentier. We're here every night, 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time. So make sure and come back. We always like to get in, talk football, get out. We're very, very, very respectful of your time. We're mindful of your time. We know it's your most valuable resource, and we're so happy that you're here to share it with us. If you're watching this on Tuesday morning or on Wednesday, as 95% of you are, we hope you guys have a great day today. Thanks to everybody here for being here live, though, for the show. We would not be able to do the show without you guys. All we ask is that you please like the show, subscribe to the channel. We don't hit you over the head with it for the whole show, but it's really important that you guys like the show, subscribe to the channel. It's also important that you comment. If you have comments on the show, just comment below. If you're not listening live, email us, fwfemails@gmail.com. That's how we can get your topics here on to the show. Yeah, man. Great job, Cody. We got a whole week ahead of us. We love you guys for listening. We can't thank you enough, all right? We'll talk to you soon. God bless you. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.